me stop you right there.
No Coke. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever podcasts are heard. And also give a follow to us, Comic Patrol Pod at Instagram and comic_patrol at Twitter. Hit us up at comicpatrolpod@gmail.com if you want to add a future arc analysis comic or just want to say what's up.
That's unfair. That's totally unfair. I don't know where to go with that. So I'm not even going to waste time.
No, you don't have to waste time.
Well, what's the point? Like, I feel like our time was wasted.
Yeah. See, there you go. You wasted time on time that was wasted.
Back at it again like we never left. Coke and Dank. Dank and Coke. We are the lethal weapons.
Hey, Dank.
Hey, Coke.
What do you call a factory that makes okay products?
What do you call a factory that makes okay products?
A satisfactory. Was this run satisfactory?
No.
No.
So, like, that's why you didn't get the laugh? Because it's a solid joke. But to tie into what we read, man.
It's topical.
Why did we come back? That's how I feel. I can see so much of the hate for a Krakoa era now starting to bubble up. And why?
Yeah.
Because I had no idea.
Because we didn't get it. We didn't get it first. Like, oh, everybody's fucking each other and they're random and they have their own nation. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of cool though. Like the books are pretty good. You can see Hickman had a vision. I would like to know at what point along the way his vision got muddled with studio interference.
Yeah, and just everybody else's titles.
Yes, because it got too big.
Everyone else had to do their own thing. And literally, they went to go terraform space. So, like, that's its own thing.
So I feel like that seems like a Hickman thing though. Like I think the whole thing with Araco is like that's Hickman's, but then like these sub stories that are mixed in with everything else, I was like, did he even like want this to happen? I don't know.
But that's the thing about when we first started to do the run, and they had only like six issue titles, and they ended. That they needed to do for this midpoint. They should have been shutting down a lot of these larger titles to be like, okay, let's just send half of these characters to Mars, or half of these characters to the moon, or half of these characters to wherever they need to be in other titles and close up shop. But they didn't. They took everybody to the finish line and everybody didn't cross it. We were talking off air, obviously, about how many titles just you had no idea what was going on because we hadn't been continuing with the read. And for them to finish with all this extra stuff that they expected you to know from way back when just didn't tie up or sync up with everything that the entire run was building. Like, fuck.
Well, we're almost there because we have to do like this is this Trials of X thing that we named is that branch is done now. So the next episode we're gonna do Inferno, and then after that, that's kind of like a mini event. Right. We can kind of figure out if we're gonna stick around because that's the end of Hickman, right? Hickman's done after Inferno.
But Inferno is easily the best one that we haven't touched already.
Yeah,
because the bar is so low.
That's true.
Off Trials.
That's very true.
If there's a little bit of fire and somebody dies, I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, somebody dies, and there's a lot of characters missing from this run too. Like there was no Omega Red, there was no Sabretooth. Really, I know he's got his series going on too. It was just the way that this was collected
and designed. Yeah, no dolphin sounds.
Well, he's gone though. Exoswords, he's gone, right?
Sure, but was always a major player in Excalibur. Mm-hmm. Like for me, this was the time that you could got that swan song or that little glimmer of the eye. Like we saw appearances of Nimrod. It's like I don't care about Nimrod.
And I wanted to see more of if Mystique was going to bring back Destiny and stuff. Like there was a bunch of things that we were waiting for. Beast they kind of shelved. Like he came back in X-Force, but his whole progression to
and they kind of shoehorned what was going on with him
Yeah. Yeah.
with a funny mini story.
Yeah.
And like, okay, so this whole time this was going on. I was like, what was it? So
Yeah.
yeah, this is why I talk about short change. It just seemed like a lot of quick tie-ups to loose ends that either don't and leave it alone, or like you knew that the clock was coming and you had to find a way to end everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So last episode we did a whole bunch of things. A couple of runs that end then. Trial of Magneto ended. X Corp ended. Way of X ended, which was the strongest run out of I think both episodes
Correct.
that we've done here, or both parts. And now this one is more. It's less less book series to read, but there's more. I think there's more issues in this. Like there's larger chunks, like Marauders. So in this we do Phoenix Song Echo 1 to 5, Marauders 24-27, Sword 8-11. So that ends. Wolverine 17-19, X Force 21-26, and Excalibur 22-26. And Marauders actually ends with this too. So they are ending series here. It's just maybe maybe it's the wrong series.
Fair. And you get more story, right? Like you get more information.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, it just doesn't feel like it connects to anything.
Yeah, how is this leading into Inferno? If like when they were setting up the Hellfire Gala and X of Swords, like they were building to it. Yeah.
Great question, especially coming out of Hellfire, because Hellfire was the semblance of everything that Krakoa built. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to end the series there, that would have been fucking amazing, because you brought all these characters in, and then you just had these little nuggets of like, oh wait, this party isn't as clean as you thought it was, right? And then you could launch those into their own events or their own specific series, and it could have ended all the titles on Hellfire. Coming out of it, it's all of these threads that like you're not sure what you were trying to accomplish with giving all this. And there's a lot of filler issues in like this run that we did of just, you really need to know about this character's backstory. It was like, I don't like, I spent all this time doing backstory in earlier stages of Krakoa, and you guys have left the island now that like nobody even cares about the island anymore.
Yeah.
Like everybody's trying to find a gate off world and like do all these other things. Wait till we get to the surfing, because god damn it. It just turned into like kind of a parody of itself, which is so disheartening for what they had been building to this point, that when Krakoa becomes the afterthought, so for me, something's missing. Something went wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't even know how it all fell apart, because it's not like we missed anything.
Can we blame it all on Phoenix Song Echo?
Yeah, I hated that. Let's start with that, because I hated it and I want to get it over with.
Who's this for?
Why is this on the so we followed a Marvel Guide reading list for this, and I'm wondering why they even threw it on here. I guess it's to tell you, like, let you know where Phoenix is in case you're interested, but otherwise it's just I don't.
And you see the marketing ploys that they tried to get you to read it, right?
Yeah.
Like all the covers were complete false advertising.
Yes. Yeah, Wolverine was in one. He's not in the book at all.
On a cover.
On a cover, and he's
never in a book.
Was even mentioned. They're pushing the shit out of Echo. I know this is like 2021. When did the Echo series come out? 23 or something?
Maybe.
But anyways, the Echo series came out, and they were like really, really trying to make her a thing, and it's just she's not that interesting of a character, unfortunately.
Based on what we've gotten from her, because I've only seen her in a limited. I haven't watched the show.
Oh, you haven't watched the show yet? Okay.
I've only read this. So for me, the one interesting thing out of this 5-issue run was the trade-off between her and Daredevil, which is now Elektra. Elektra,
yeah, in this
Naichos is the new Daredevil for this, and I was like, okay, like maybe I'm more interested in going back to read what that dynamic is like, as opposed to what we got for this story.
I think Matt goes to jail or something.
So finally,
yeah, because she's still Daredevil as far as I know, at least in that short. I covered one of the issues in one of our monthly things that I do.
Sure, in the post.
It was a side story, but it's anyways. Echo is possessed with the Phoenix Force, and she doesn't know how to control it. So she goes to this small town after almost killing a bunch of people in New York, and that's when she led to her meeting Elektra to look for a guy named Chief. Chief is dead, but she meets his grandson River, who has a power to see your ancestral timeline, and who also made a deal with the adversary to give over the Phoenix Force. Since I saw the adversary, I was like, oh no,
this could be lame.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask, when you saw River's card, did you think it was Ghost Rider?
Oh, I didn't think that, but that's
That's my first. I was like, okay, fire, and like a guy that can kind of see your inner beings and kind of like who you are beyond the physical. I was like, okay, this could be a Ghost Rider. It wasn't, but for me, that was such a cool mislead
That would be actually a cool,
crossover.
yeah, Phoenix and Ghost Rider, yeah.
But a lot of this book was like really clever and mean misleads of characters I wanted to see. They're like, no, they're not in this.
Yeah.
Here's some Forge.
Yo, okay. Did this not kind of remind you of the X-Men 97 episode? Like they reference Storm in this, but Forge is there, the adversary's there. Echo falls in love with River, or has a thing with River instead of.
Which came first?
This.
Yeah. So plagiarism.
So I think he was heavily influenced.
Yeah, that's fair.
By this horrible story.
Because it's a woman that basically can't come grips with her power. She never really loses it, but she doesn't believe inherently how strong she is.
Yeah.
And the whole book is essentially like you are the Phoenix, right? And then like she has the power, right? And if you remember X-Men 97, it's Storm losing her powers, and then Forge basically giving her love to be like,
yeah,
you are the Storm. She's like, oh yeah, I always had it. Now that's still a great scene, and I love the whole how Storm got her groove back meme that made it all over the internet. But that was probably the weakest episode in that film.
I hate how they just, I don't know, that show, we talked a lot about that show, but it's just the way that they were just like, we don't know how to do a Storm, so let's just depower her and send her to Montana or wherever for a while. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah. Upside, season 2 can't be worse. I've said that so many times.
I don't know if I don't know.
I've said that for so many different things. I remember saying that for like Venom 2 can't be worse than the first one.
You said Venom.
It's not, but it's not like much better.
No, it's yeah.
And then I said Venom 3 can't be worse than Venom 2, and then we didn't even watch it.
Have you watched that one? I haven't seen it.
Why?
Okay.
I'm waiting for you. If we're not reviewing it, then there's no way I'm going clear. Nothing near that.
And then you were like, we reviewed the first two, so we got to do the third one. I was like,
I think we should finish the trilogy, but I'm not putting myself through that unless I know.
Yeah.
You're going through the same page.
You're probably right. We probably should, but I really don't want to.
There's a leap of movies that we're just like, we're not touching. Even though we did like trailer baits for them, which is amazing. We did first glances for like Aquaman, and you've still yet to see any of them.
That's very. Dude, I tried to watch the first Aquaman, and I was like, I can't. Like subconsciously, I can't stand that character. Like I'm like, no, he's all right. He'll be fine. I watched like 15 minutes, and they're floating around, and I was just like, I can't do this. I'm not in the mood for it. I just. Yeah, you're like, how often does that happen to you? Where you put on a movie and you're like, I'm not in the mood for this. And
I don't watch this. Well, that's how Netflix was birthed. Of just like how many movies you started to go to a next movie. They're like, yeah. Nah. And then you just go to your favorite scene. You're like, all right, I just want to see.
Yeah, I remember when this is another aside to the aside, but I remember when Scarface came out on DVD. You remember that? Yeah. It was a big deal. It was like right before Christmas. I watched it every day Christmas break, whole thing.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. I loved that movie, and then I've watched like twice since.
Do you have a cocaine problem?
Gigi, get the AO.
All right, that's fair. I mean, you did get the money, then you got the power, and then you got the meaning. So
you a fucking lizard, man. Anyway,
but he's a terrible character.
He's horrible. That's what appealed to me is that he was a piece of shit. It's the rise and fall, right?
Yeah, but he opened the door for the anti-hero, right? Like without him, we're not getting Sopranos.
Probably not getting Walter White either.
Yeah, we're not getting any of those guys.
Right. So that was the whole thing, is that you respect his hustle, but you're like, bro, stop, and he just keeps going, and then like when he shoots Manolo, it's like, okay, well.
But that's the problem with the hustle. Like at a certain point, it takes you over. You don't know when to stop, right? There's no bar. Once you feel you're successful, you're like, oh, like.
Just like this book, doesn't know when to stop. I don't even want to talk about it. You're like, it's okay. Okay, so River falls for Maya, and they run through her timeline trying to get away from the adversary until she meets another Phoenix Force user in her history who teaches her about the White Hot Room.
I liked the other Phoenix more than I did Maya.
She's dope. That's what this book should have been, was like a story about, because that was like Aztec times, like that's where it should have been. Because yeah, she was much more confident, she was much more interesting, and it would have been cool to see how she got the Phoenix and channeled it, because she was in complete control. Correct. Or complete cooperation, I guess.
Like I wrote down one of her great quotes was what is it? The Phoenix does not run from her enemies. She is a god. What has this foolish man put in your head, right? Like, so she was immediately like, I don't know why you feel you're weak. The fact that you have the Phoenix infinitely makes you stronger, right? So you should be able to like topple worlds with this power. While Maya's still struggling over with like not burning people.
Yeah. But then like River was a weird kid. He was written odd too, because he had to deal with the adversary where he was supposed to deliver him the Phoenix Force at some point.
That was the one interesting thing about the title. The fact that he was like tapped early on
Yeah.
to find Maya. I just didn't think they paid that off.
That's what I mean. But so it's like he's tapped. So yeah, when River was a kid, the adversary visited him and was like, "Listen, this girl, like not this girl. When the Phoenix Force comes, you're going to deliver it to me."
Right.
And he's like, "Okay." And then this happens, and it's kind of, but you don't really, the way he's written, you don't really get an understanding of. He doesn't even seem to be struggling with the idea until her ancestor says it to him.
Yeah.
Because it's like he's helping her, but at the same time he's like, maybe I'm not. But they don't convey that well enough. So I thought he was just not going to help her at all until her ancestor was like, I see that you're lying to her. And he's like, it was weird. It was weirdly written. I don't know. I didn't get the vibe that he was struggling at all. It was kind of
He's
like,
100% a damsel in distress and
Yeah.
doesn't do anything about except for like screaming like, oh no, there's a fire. Like he's olive oil to Maya's Popeye.
yeah.
And then the fact that in like the fourth issue, they're just like hooking up now. They're like, okay, we're in a relationship.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah.
I was like, what? So like time's a motherfucker, right? Like all you need to do is spend eons with someone. Well, I guess that would make sense. Spend eons with somebody and then you're going to fall in love. But it seemed unearned based on from chapter 3, we're like running for our lives. And chapter 4 is like, hey, honey, I made you eggs. And I was like, what? Is this a dream?
Once again, reminded me of X-Men 2097. Right? I said 20. X-Men 97. Same sort of thing where it's just like, oh, yeah, we're in love now. So
Yeah. Love heals all.
it was, I don't know, man. I didn't.
Ahoya Luwak. That's her name.
Oh, the ancestor? Her ancestor?
Yes.
Yeah, the most interesting character in the book.
Yeah, the Phoenix. And then cameo from Brew. Did you like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. He was in it too. Like really
Just
quickly.
pops up on the phone. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you gotta,
Yeah.
I gotta call.
That's
It's
right.
like,
I forgot
I was
about
like,
that. Yeah.
Brew?
Yeah, that's right. I gotta. That was so random. It was so random.
Is this the best book ever? It could be. There's time traveling. There's Back to the Future.
I like where it's like they send Maya into the White Hot Room to face the adversary.
Right.
Like she's got this, and River's like, no, I gotta save her. It's like, well, no, she's the Phoenix Force. She doesn't need saving.
No,
And they
that's
hype
the
it up, like her ancestor gives her all this like pep talk and stuff. She's like, I'm ready to go, and then River goes in there. He's like, I'm here to save you, and she's getting her like ass handed to her. It's like what? and then Ford shows up with a big gun. I was like, well, I thought they were building her up to be like this. She could
What?
handle him.
She confronts Forge for mansplaining to her.
Yes, that's right.
Inevitably, just ends up saving her anyway. So there goes that concept because you're supposed to be the G in this one. Like you're supposed to run the show, and when you meet Ahoyo, she's supposed to make you that much more cognizant that you are the power. Like you're the tree. Like you're the storm. It's inherently in you. But this was more like running around and like falling in love and some cool concepts, but nothing was fleshed out enough that I believe in any of the characters except for Brew and Ohio.
Actually, there was an awesome part too. Is one of the funniest things to me was how Forge learned everything from River's dead body. Like he was talking to Lassie. You remember that with his dead body? He's like, "What's going on here? Oh, you're dead. Oh, you must have fought the Phoenix Force. What's that? I'm gonna send some air here. Oh, I know where to go." It's like what?
So there's a problem in your book if there's like 3 to 4 side characters that are stronger or better written than you as the main.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we have no idea why this is connected to Krakoa.
No, I don't know. It shouldn't be in this Marvel guide. It has nothing to do unless I thought maybe I was giving it the benefit of the doubt when I was done it. I was like, oh, maybe there's something to do with the Phoenix, and they, this guide wants us to know where the Phoenix is right now.
Sure.
Doesn't show up at all.
No.
In this entire.
She just keeps bitching about losing to Namor. She's like, yo, Namor dusted me. I was like, why didn't we get a flashback to that fight? I would have loved to see that.
Yeah.
But,
No, none of that. All right.
Moving on.
Marauders, number 27. This is the end of this book. this team, you know, which just makes sense because these few issues they're just kind of falling apart, and that last issue they just like
We're done. Yeah, fuck this. What a whimper and a fart for this title.
who
Remember how powerful Kate was and like the ownership of
Yeah.
taking not only position as a leader of a team, but to sit next to the White Queen. Like she became, was it Red Bishop? No,
Yeah.
no, she became Red Queen.
Red
no?
Queen, Red Queen.
Yeah, she got her own, right? And then made
Bishop
her
was
team
her Red Bishop.
correct. And like for like I think 2/3 of this title spent the majority of Krakoa just shutting down motherfuckers left and right because the Marauders were often on Earth just dealing with all of these incidentals that were fucking up like the distribution for the drugs and shit. So like you got all these cool dynamics with like these pirates that were kind of Avengers and like Revengers and still X-Men, but all these crazy dynamics of like Kate being like Catherine and a heroine and just a lead. And then I think the changing point, but it was still interesting, was when they brought Sebastian in.
Yeah, he worked in this book. He's grown on me.
From where it just falls apart, I can't tell you, but this became like one of the weakest titles towards this back half.
Yeah, yeah. Which used to be your favorite. It was one of our favorites, and I know it was your favorite especially. But they stopped swashbuckling.
Yeah.
Right? It was just like it turns out Emma. Who the hell is Eden Rixlow?
You don't like Dion Lorix?
Yeah.
Bujan? Bijan? Why does he have 6 names? You introduced him this issue, and you're like, AKA, and I was like, but just call him Buju, like Bujan.
Something. Like, I like how they introduced him to. It was like, this is my ship, and it's like a whole. He has a whole splash page with just him. He's like, it's Eden Rixlow. I was like, is this supposed to be the guy from Star Wars?
But that's what this entire run seemed like. It just seemed like, okay, we're going to the cantina, and we're just it's Guido versus Han Solo. It's like who shot first. But there was no setup for it. They're all just like, we're on Mars now. It's like, what? No. Why are you guys this is not the team that goes to Mars. No, exactly. There's no water on Mars. There's no boats on Mars. Like, you guys supposed to be in the ocean, like handling shit. But ever since like that Christian Frost, like death or unconscious shit, like ever since Hellfire, that's probably where it flipped.
Well, that's because they lost their boat. Right? Their yacht got commandeered by the
so they're spacemen now?
And now
like they get the Mercury and they're like, okay, we're gonna go fly. What?
Yeah. They don't know. They didn't know what to do with them.
And like Iceman gets to do cool shit in this, but I was like, this is unearned because I hadn't seen you for 7 issues. Yeah. Like Pyro pops back up. I was like, you're still here?
Oh, Pyro and Bishop. That's a run I'd read. Those two together were awesome. Like when they disguised themselves. Yes, I was like, that was like my favorite part of this whole. I was like, yeah, these two work.
That Blade and Mr. Nobody.
yeah, Mr. Blade and Mr. Nobody. Yeah,
it's just Blade. It's not even Mr.
No, it's Mr. Blade.
No, it was Blade and Mr. Nobody.
No, because I swear it's Mr. Blade.
I'll bet you money right now, and I have 0 of it. No, they had their whole side plot of like they're just trying to sell hell carriers. No, not hell carriers. What are they called? What are the Avengers?
The shield carriers. Yeah, the hell carriers.
Are they called hell carriers? And like one like explodes out of the sky. They're like, all right, so 2, right? Like, yeah. So you're right. Like the improvisation between both of them and the fact, like, I was just laughing at their fits because they both look like a golfer and like a caddy kind of thing. Yeah, like from the 70s, and they're just working the angles. But
it worked because Pyro never shuts up, and then Bishop's more like
playing it cool.
But then they have the squabbling with each other. It was good.
They're definitely like a good sub for Heroes for Hires. I could see those guys taking over that title.
And their power sets. Also, another fun power set was when Sebastian and Bishop were punching each other.
Okay, so we're all over the board. There's really fun stuff. And again, I'm with you. There's really fun stuff in this final issue, but it's so unearned. It just seemed like, okay, we're at the end. So can we finally make Iceman a Gaiju and like him fight giant monsters? Yes, we can. So while I'm enjoying it, I'm like, this don't make no sense to everything I've been reading for the last 20-something issues.
Yeah,
but he does cool stuff, right? Like you were saying, he makes they get double crossed by Eden Rixio in sort of a Lando Calrissian way.
That's the guy's name. I couldn't remember his name. That's why I said Star Wars guy. Yes.
Yeah, never forget Billy D. Williams.
I couldn't remember his name, man. I was like, who's the? Yeah. Anyways,
he basically lets them through escape hatch or like a hole in the ship, and they go floating out in space. I was like, oh shit, like these guys are gonna die, right? So that was a great cliffhanger off of a weird start to this run. The next issue, Iceman's like, I got this, and just forms a ice ball around them, and then they start using science within that ball.
Really
I could have got an entire issue of just them trapped in kind of like a bottle episode of them just trying to figure out how to survive in that.
That's why I said here that they make it back with some serious teamwork and science lessons. So it's Kate, Emma, Bobby, Bishop, and Shaw are all in space, and he makes that big ice ice globe around them.
Yeah.
And then to get back to the ship, Shaw and Bishop punch each other so many times that they power each other up, and they're able to blast in the direction of Emma's know-how. She's like, the ship's over that way,
right?
So and then Iceman makes another wall in between so that it separates when they blast off, right from outer space, so they don't suffocate. It's really cool stuff. And then when they get close
very
enough,
smart, very intuitive. Like, you understand your characters, but does not fit in the world that you've built up to. Right?
No, because they're in space. And then the idea was to, when they get close enough, Kitty or Kate drops down into the ship,
right,
and then fights Eden, right?
But you could totally tell that this was like a season finale or a series finale, because Nimrod pops up in this, Shinobi pops up in this, Peepers pops up in this,
Lord Chantel, who like Sebastian's been like moaning about for like a dozen
I'm here
issues.
again. Hey guys, I'm on a horse. Like, what?
Weird.
Fin Fan Foom
is
in
this.
this.
Harry Leland comes back,
and like Fin Fan Foom makes sense as pirates.
Yes,
but you give me all this space ship. Makes sense of that.
Yeah, so they go from space and then they're back on Krakoa. Once they get the whole Eden Rixlow thing, it was like a 2-issue stunt, and that was it. And they get back onto Earth, and now what the writers are trying to do, you can tell that they're trying to design this a certain way because it doesn't flow nice. They're trying to break the team up. So Fin Fang Foom comes down, and he's high off of like fighting all these different creatures from all over the world or universe. And he's like, I want some mead, right? he wants to get drunk on Krakoan liquor. Like, you can't just be doing this. So Iceman goes supersized to fight him, and
which I never knew he could do.
Yeah, he did it in there's another run. It's when they first kind of accepted that he could be Omega level. What book was that? I don't remember now. I think it was an Uncanny X-Men where he gets, it's like Dark Iceman, and he makes like all these, it doesn't matter. And Emma Frost basically is like, convinces him like, yo, you been an Omega. But yeah, he goes big, fights him, and then he's kind of like, I like this. I don't want to be on the team anymore because I'm just gonna
keep doing it.
I'm just gonna keep doing this. So he goes to like Sniffleheim or whatever and starts fighting Frost Giants.
Like, that was so good. They're like
it's cool, but it's like,
but doesn't fit to anything that you've been building this entire series. Also, Fin Fan Foom has shorts.
Yeah, he was wearing shorts.
Who's your tailor?
Yeah, I mean, couldn't he just tuck it in? He's a lizard. He's a dragon.
Doesn't it like receipt? Like, isn't
that's what I mean.
Scales for it?
Yeah,
I have no idea, but congratulations.
They're purple shorts too, aren't they?
I was gonna say, like, is this an Incredible Hulk nod?
I noticed that too. I was like, that's weird.
So
it's actually worse that you put them on him, because now I'm thinking like he's got a floppy Johnson or something. But anyways,
this is a weird book.
Harry Leland comes back, and he's asked to represent Krakoa at the UN. The Verendi it's the Verendi that Bishop and Pyro rip off.
For like what, 4 billion?
Yeah.
Why?
Shaw gives his seat to Lords.
Why?
So I don't know why. Emma gives her seat to the Cuckoos.
Why?
Pyro goes on a book tour. Like,
why? It was
the only two that stick around are Kate and Bishop,
which are probably the best of this team based on how you've written them in this final run.
Yeah, but they've ignored Kate. Yeah, based on because they've barely written them. That's right. Yeah.
Emma used to be the G in this, right? Because she was double teaming like Sebastian Shaw and like running plans with Kate, and like she was the mind behind everything, and like she turned into be the power play, right? She started putting positions on her chessboard to be like, you need to be here, you need to be here. This is my team. This is how we're gonna run it. And like almost everybody in this final run got neutered for them to bring in old characters. Like, why did Shinobi come back?
I don't know. Yeah, he's just there. And then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Leland's your real dad.
It's like, So this is what I talk about. Like, it seemed like a series finale. Like, like, okay, we got canceled and we only have like 3 weeks
Yeah.
left. Like, just get all the writers in the room and just put everything that we're not going to get to finish. It's a kitchen sink episode.
Yeah. That's
So if
exactly
you're
what
looking
it's-
for a laugh, this was a great laugh. But if like you're dead fast on enjoying this team, like probably don't read this. Like, just it ends for you after Hellfire, and then they all
Yeah, it's a
will
mess.
appear where they need to appear down the line.
It's an actual mess, and that's the end of it. That's
Yeah.
what kills me. It's like, oh yeah, that by the way, they're done now. Okay,
But they have since relaunched Marauders.
I'm
So,
sure they have with Caitlin's Bishop, right?
like, I didn't read it because I hadn't read this, and then I read this. I was like, I need something. I need to see where they've gone after this, because you can't do worse, in my opinion.
Your famous line.
I mean, it's got to be better. It's got to be better than this.
Another series that ended is Sword. So we do issue 8 to 11 in this run.
Storm got shortchanged after Hellfire Girl.
She just got reduced to.
Well, she moves the sword, and she appears in other titles, but she doesn't get to do a lot. This one, she gets to do something, which is great, but like I miss her as like a mainstay.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Well, I did think it was kind of cool actually how her whole situation is. She represents Araco. Like she's getting the position she deserves
Mhm.
in the sense that she's Omega level. She sits on the council or the ring of Araco
Ring of
and
Nine,
stuff,
yeah.
and she represents Krakoa. But the thing that I found was interesting and funny or amusing, I guess, is that she's constantly being challenged by everybody who doesn't believe in her, and that's
Yeah.
like it's almost like a Peter Parker thing where it's like making her late for all her real responsibilities. It's like she has meetings with the Shi'ar and she's got this and that, and she's like she's always late because this guy wants a piece of her. This guy wants to test her metal, and she's like slowly winning through brute force. She's winning over everybody else who's a leader in the Iraqi thing.
But the audacity of these motherfuckers, like, you didn't just watch her help terraform Mars, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was like her, Magneto, Jamie, and like
Black Tom, wasn't
maybe Black Top, and like maybe let's say Jean Grey, that like created nothing from something, and they're all like, yeah, but like, are you really like Omega? And so like, oh, that was why like she doesn't get respect here.
No, well, that's the whole thing with Iraqos. The Araco people is that like they hate. They don't like
Everybody else, yeah.
they're like brute strength, like barbarians in that way. It's like you can't impress me with what you've done. You got to impress me with like what have you done for me lately? Like do it. You got to fight me. It's like okay,
And she does.
yeah, she does, and she wins every time. The
So,
dude,
like-
the lava dude,
Oh,
she just makes it snow on him. The first guy,
Calderak, yeah.
yeah, she makes him late, or she's late to fight him. He's like, where is she? He just makes it snow and just freezes him.
That was good. And then I actually enjoyed all the trade-offs with Tarn.
Oh, that was dope. Yeah.
He's such a useless dick of just like, I lied. Basically, like everything I said I'd do, I lied, right? Like, and then I challenge you, but I'm confused on how Storm won that fight.
Stabbed him.
Right, but he had the upper hand, right? Like he had her basically dead to rights with
Killed.
like mixing his DNA, and had her looking like a genetic freak.
Yeah.
But she got the stab off, and there's this like one line trade off of like, well, do you concede your position? Because if you kill me, then like I guess you die. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it was something like that.
So like for me, they shortchanged that fight and Storm in it. Even though she won, it just didn't seem.
Yeah, she came
Like
down
a
and
smart fight?
she got rocked right away. It's like
Yeah.
there's no way she expected this to happen exactly this way. Yeah, I
And
get
you-
what you're saying.
And your favorite trope of Storm facing Storm? I am you.
Yeah.
I am you. And then that's just the tip of the iceberg to get into Sword, because the rest of the issues have nothing to do with
Nothing
this
to do with
council.
that. Yeah. Well, that's kind of what's going on with like in Marauders. It was they're up in space and they're back and they're trying to break the team up. Sword is like, oh, here's some Araco stuff, and then they meet with the Shi'ar, and then that they're breaking up, and then like you know what I mean. So all the issues are very segmented and broken apart.
But this is what side titles are for, right? Like this is
Mhm.
what you make
Yeah.
specific event, because you could have had all of these space adventures in one title with all these characters, and people be like, "This is cool. We finally get like the a pseudo X-Men connection again when they're all doing these different missions, but you include them in the main titles. So people reading these titles from inception are like, what's going on? And like,
Yeah.
they all seem like filler issues. It,
Yeah.
it was just, it's just weird editing for me.
Yeah.
Because there's honestly, there's stuff to enjoy about everything. Maybe not Echo, but I mean, that's splitting hairs because that doesn't really belong in the Krakoa story.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they've included filler issues in places that we don't need filler here. You've given us enough backstory, you've given us enough lead in, and we've patiently waited for the other shoe to drop because we've been waiting for all these storylines to materialize and all these villains to finally like pop up and everyone to get their comeuppance. That you're just like, okay, no, but like, you remember these guys? They're now in space. I was like, I don't. Why? What?
Yeah.
So it sticks out like a sore thumb.
They really, it feels like they really needed somewhere to something to do in between Hellfire and Inferno, and they weren't satisfied with just the trial of Magneto. Like, let's do some other stuff.
Well, that wasn't even a trial.
I know, it was a joke. I know, which we covered last episode. But yeah, so they meet with the Shi'ar. They being those Storm's supposed to meet with the Shi'ar guard, and then this five group of these new, I guess, mutants or robots or androids, whatever, called the Lethal Legion show up.
Yeah, I didn't like them.
It was weird. It was weird.
I did not like them.
So what I liked, I enjoyed the background stuff more than what was going on in the battlefields, because the whole point is that Henrik Gyrich Gyrick and Orcus teamed up with what do they call it? Orbis?
Yeah.
That alien orb, and they created the Lethal Legion, which was 5 adversaries that they just cloned a whole bunch of times. And they came in and they wrecked the Shi'ar guard. But the Storm handled them all.
But again, weird cameos like Vindicators in this.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. Guardian James Hudson was in it. Yeah, because Gyrick is in charge of Orcus, which owns Alpha Flight in this. So Alpha Flight, so he's going along with everything, but they're trying to bring down, and the whole goal here is to bring down Krakoa. And then you have WizKid, who's like a triple agent, which I thought was unnecessary. Like,
that makes sense.
Cable, we forgot that Cable is old now too. He's gotten older again.
I haven't forgotten that. I was just surprised to see Cable. I have not seen Cable like since his title, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm up here."
Look,
like, nobody seems to be happy on the Sword space station. To be honest,
yeah. The crux of this is Orcus and Orbis have teamed up to try and take down Krakoa.
Yeah,
and Orbis he's learning stuff from Storm. He's going to come back with like this Storm robot for sure. And then Abigail Brand wants the same things. That's the twist, right? Is that she wants the fall of Krakoa too. It's just she wants it much more subtle and much more clean. Where like Gyrick was just, so she opposed Gyrick just to take. She kills him too, which is great, which is pretty cool. I didn't see that coming. But she's also like, she's a villain now. So she's like, okay, I want to take down Krakoa too. I just got to do it more neatly. Storms out in Arakko, and then the Sword stuff dies. There's no really important characters except for, I guess, Cable, who's, I don't know what they're going to do with him from here.
I guess WizKid, they're now trying to prop up as an important player. Like, we did spend like a day learning of like, this is how I get out of bed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. When you thought WizKid was a double agent. It ended up being a triple agent, and which was like, I was like, that's a little...
You didn't have anything for him to do, so
yeah,
this was what we're gonna do. But again, I think the coolest thing about this run was getting Gyrick out of,
just killing him off, because there's so many villains, right? You got to start getting rid of some of these villains, and you got to start. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, Wolverine.
Sure.
Number 17 to 19. In these few issues, he seems to be Mr. Fix-It, but not by himself. With Domino and Maverick in the first issue trying to prevent a competitive pharmaceutical group from biochemically bombing Krakoa, and then fighting off Maverick and his mercs who were hired by the merchant to get info from Krakoan bugs that the X-Desk were working with. That's a lot there.
No love for Jeff Bannister? He's definitely part of this team as well.
Jeff Bannister's dope. Yeah, I was going to name him later. I was just kind of doing a broad stroke across it for that.
But
First part.
for me, he's a broad stroke because he basically opens up the issue
Yep.
of just like he's doing all the intel to figure out what's going on about like this bug situation.
Yep.
This was an interesting run, but there seemed to be like 3 arcs in this run that we read for Wolverine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I found it logically should have ended, I had to read more, and that's what ended up watering down my final take of it. But again, you're talking about the Maverick of it all, which was jokes because he shows up during karaoke and like Maverick.
He shows up. Yeah, Maverick's just randomly back. Like, oh, what's he doing here? This isn't suspicious at all. The one mutant who wants nothing to do with Krakoa is just here. So whoever didn't see this like turncoat coming, I don't know what to tell you.
But like, so then Wolverine's an idiot because he's
Yes.
like, "Hey man, you want to run a mission with me?"
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely.
I know I don't trust you. I've had so many missions where you stab me in the back, and even in the one spot where we're all supposed to find harmony and equality, you're like, "Nah, you did pop up, but hey, bro, I could use you." You're
He's
an idiot.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was just excited to have his boyfriend back, I guess. He's like,
And then still like defends him after the fact too.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Maverick, like, he's not evil. He just doesn't trust anybody. I was like, who the fuck?
Shut up, man.
What are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
Like, what's that? Whose side are you on?
Yeah, I didn't really like the way they wrote Maverick in this either. I used to be a big fan of him, like back in, like way back when he still had all the whole yellow stuff on. When
Sure.
he had the whole yellow and blue, that whole kit. I thought he was so cool because he was like the 3rd member of that X-Force team. The with just Wolverine, not X-Force, but Project X. That Project
Weapon
X
X.
or Weapon X, Sabretooth, Wolverine, and or Task Force. Sorry, they were called Task Force X. Wolverine, Sabretooth, Maverick,
Mystique.
and I think Silver Fox, right?
Wasn't
So
Mystique
that
on
was-
it one time?
No, not the original.
Okay.
The original one. Anyways, I always thought that was so cool with the 3 of them. And Silver Fox sometimes. I don't know if she was a planted memory. I don't remember, but I remember the book I read. It was just the 3 of them. Anyways.
We're long removed from those days.
Yes. Yeah, that's why I never know what's in canon anymore. It's just like whatever. As we know from Powers of 10, the no-place biomes have the ability to create these offshoot plants. Plant life that can infect living animals and mutate them to be extra aggressive. My favorite issue in this is that last one where it's just Wolverine. I miss this is my whole thing. Is like we talked about Domino Maverick joining him for a mission.
Sure.
To stop the biochemical bombing. Then he has to, he's caught up with the X-Desk thing where they're using the bugs to get
Dolores Ramirez is stealing
Yeah.
information. Yeah.
Yeah, but Wolverine's not really the main character there. He's just kind of a part of it. Just like
No.
with the biochem stuff, he's just kind of a part of it.
And there's no reason for me that Maverick has decided to team up with Legacy House in order to double cross
makes no
immunes. But again, back to what you're saying of like how.
So those issues there, they kind of 17, 18, they just kind of feel like he's just there. But the last issue, 19, when he goes out in the boat,
his Moby Dick story.
loved it, man. That was the best issue in the whole run.
Call Me Ishmael. Yeah, it's him with like an existential sort of like
Yeah.
understanding of like who he is and who he is in this world and why he has to be a protector, but he's probably best served alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tone changes, the artwork changes. It's like
The writing changes too. It's the same writer as Benjamin Percy, but yeah, like you said, the tone, it's like it's different.
it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Which is Wolverine, like Logan's MO is like, bro, I've lived, and like there's certain quotes that I wrote down. I was like, live long enough, and like you'll just become numb to it. When he's talking, that's a different run, but
Different run, but same thing. Yeah.
like this is the Logan that we've been missing. The guy that likes to just get whiskey and drink on the beach and just look off into the sunset. Like he's been looking for peaceful moments this entire series. So the fact that he finally gets it in 19 was great, and probably the logical spot to end his run. But no, this goes on for several more titles or issues, I should say.
Yeah, because I like when he's like, I'm the most relaxed when I'm like on edge type thing, like with violence. It's dope. Anyways,
we also learned that he loves Johnny Cash.
Loves Johnny Cash. He will even sing karaoke for Johnny Cash.
Only Johnny Cash.
Anyway, so that's just the 3 issues. I guess it's just kind of setting up. I know that last issue with the whale, the Leviathan he calls it,
Mm-hmm.
that connects directly to X-Force, which is cool, even though it happens first in X Force. You kind of learn why the whale is like that, and that's after a nuclear spill leaks into the ocean and mutates some wildlife. X Force is called to the scene to clean up the spill. I like how they casually just have like, "Oh, Forge made us this stuff that'll clean the water." While they're
Forge has been their cheat code for half this run.
Is wild. It's Sage or Forge.
Yeah.
They just
or Black Tom.
Or Black Tom. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Or Storm.
Yeah. Or Storm. Yeah.
Or I guess now Legion. Yeah, they have
cheat codes like galore.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's literally like, hey man, just go over to this corner of the island. This guy will save everything.
Yeah, don't worry.
We got this.
But while they're there, they see that green creature. Like this is like
man thing.
Manslaughter.
I like that he got the new thing because they were calling him Man Thing, and I was like, because I was gonna call him Swamp Thing. They're like, no, it's Manslaughter.
Manslaughter. Well, it's a different name. It's a different guy. I looked it up. This Manslaughter actually debuted in like 2020, so he's a new character in his own story. But yeah, he's essentially Swamp Thing. He's Marvel's Swamp Thing. Manslaughter is up in the northwest of the states, but there are these
Sasquatch Town.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
And he leaves that way too, right?
He
goes
does,
off
yeah.
to the forest. Yeah.
But there are these assassinations going on around the country where political figures are being killed and pharmaceutical company, like CEOs of companies that are integral to Krakoan economics and stuff, they're being killed off, and the people who are killing them off have no recollection of it. They're being like controlled by something. So when they test it, like, oh, it has connections to this green thing that X-Force saw months ago in the forest, so they have to go track it down. And they think it's a Man-Thing offshoot, which it basically is, created by Xeno, and that's the guy with the peacock tattoo.
Mask. Yeah, finally.
And he's finally back, and
he's one of their stronger villains. He's been doing a lot of solid work.
Him and Mikhail
behind the scenes, yeah.
And they're both in this run, so.
Yep.
But Xeno and the Weapon Plus program is what created Manslaughter. Him and Dr. Bloodroot. Am I clear enough, or am I kind of bouncing all over?
First of all, the series is kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of filler issues in here. There's a lot of exposition. There are a lot of characters. Like, I don't know why we spend so much time with Rasputin. Like, I finally get... and you'll get there. This is me going on my rant. We finally get Colossus, and we don't. Like, like that burnt me. Yeah. But I really loved how Beast gets played up, even though he's still a side character. All of this kind of seems like it fell on his lap, although they don't really announce that, because he definitely had a hand in all of this. Like
the Terra Verde stuff, yeah. They do mention it. Was it say somebody in like some exposition dump thing? They're like, yeah, it kind of does go back to Beast, because he tried to control those Terra Verde plans, but then they kind of went on their own, and now these are like
offshoots of it,
or mutations of it. But they're also saying it's being very vague. It's like it may have actually mutated on its own at the same time as Beast doing his thing. So they're kind of like excusing him from any faults. So it's like, well, what is it then?
Yeah, Beast kind of comes off as a good guy now, and they're trying to make him relatable or sympathetic, and I don't know if that's fair to do, because I liked your theory of like Beast is like this dark version of himself, and he was, but then they cheat code all that stuff.
Bit. Yes, and then the Bloodroot stuff. We don't have to go into that stuff.
I liked how it finished off, right? Like when Manslaughter helps like have his army rise and like rises his wife.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, your wife told me that it wasn't it wasn't us. It was Peacock Face. And he's like, you're lying, right? So.
And what did he just uprooted him and then he died? Like that was that?
That and like the new, what is it? What's the order that follows these guys?
The Order of X.
The Order. So I liked how
that was cool.
The religious, they're basically like religious zealots, right? They believe in everything about the X-Men, and like they pray in front of the Krakoan gates.
Yeah.
But like Beetroot's monster version saw them and was like, all right, sweet. Like this is basically putties. So like he took them and just mutated them into his own security detail, I guess, or like putties.
Yep.
So like, I thought that was a smart turn of something to come from Order of the X, because I remember them announcing it and nothing really materializing from it. So
well, they want babies, right? This is the big thing here, is that everybody wants babies.
And we say in this,
What?
we're not babies no more.
Oh, hey, babies up in here. Grown men.
There's a lot of babies in this.
A lot of babies stealing. It's
We're
wild.
talking about Pike now. We jumping ahead.
No, we'll go back to that.
It's so weird.
Yeah,
It's so it's hard for me to admit that this is my favorite run of this bunch, but
because there's so many. Like, so the first chunk we were talking about,
so many things happen.
Xeno. Okay, so in the first chunk of X Force, because there's really only 6 issues. A lot happened in 6 issues.
So much. This should have been a 9-issue run. This should have been an event.
No, for real. I'm trying to organize my thoughts. Xeno and the manslaughter stuff, and then mutated sea life. That's the first chunk.
Right.
The second chunk is Russia with Mikhail Rasputin, who got some new super soldiers from the Peacock tattoo guy. So he's back again. He's involved in all of these.
Yeah, but
Mr. Peacock
doesn't really do anything.
No, he's just in the background for all
and
3.
It's like he keeps telling this dude to keep writing his speech for him.
Oh, hold on. No, I'm talking about Peacock tattoo, not Rasputin.
Okay, bye.
So Mikhail gets soldiers from the Peacock tattoo guy.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Right, not what they agreed on, but an offshoot of the nesting doll soldiers with the new enhancements. So they have the new nesting doll soldiers that can like remove their eyes and their hands and.
Is that when they're fighting the polar bear?
Yeah, when they're fighting the polar bear.
That's great. That's a great.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then because he didn't deliver what he owed Mikhail properly, Mikhail like throws him in this like pocket dimension. Which I thought was so funny. He's just like, you know what? You didn't do what you said you were going to do, so I'm just going to leave you here, and you can think about it. And then he bails, and then he has, like, in another pocket dimension, he has the Chronicler.
Yeah.
That's writing stories. So his mutant powers, he writes stories, and they come true, but he can't just write random things. He has to write about somebody he knows very well, in this case Colossus, that he learned everything from Mikhail about his brother. And he gets him to kill his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Which I was like, yo, that's crazy the way they did it. They just like bear hugs her and snaps her neck.
It's dark and kind of awesome. Again, for X-Force, and you're not even done. So like I let you finish the rundown. Everything that happens is something that seems like it was plotted out. Just because it got jam-packed together, I'm not taking that away. Where in other titles that we read, stuff doesn't fit. Like, this doesn't belong in everything I built for. They just, like, this is like a giant-sized issue of stuff. Yeah. And a lot of it's hilarious because you're like, what the fuck? But it totally makes sense to everything that these guys have been having to deal for the entire run.
Yeah, they really have Mikhail Rasputin as, like, a really big bad right now because he's holding a lot of cards. He's going to get... What's his plan with Colossus? He just wants Krakoa to turn on him?
Yeah, because by the end, like, I think he's using Colossus as a sleeper agent, because doesn't Colossus meet up with Charles? He's like, can we talk?
Yeah, and then it stops there and it jumps.
But that's for me, the teaser was Rasputin has control of him and he's trying to take down Charles. Because if you take Charles off the map, like if this is a chessboard, Charles is the king, right? So you're using Colossus as your rook to just dummy him. And like that's a great tease, right? A lot of these titles had teases, and you're pissed because either the end is running or you have to wait for whatever next title or event is happening. This one was like, this is a face-off I've been waiting for, because these two characters have had dust-ups throughout this run of just like Charles wanted him to come back, and Colossus was like, nah, man, like I need to be peaceful now, and reluctantly he had to join X-Force and like do a lot of stuff that he didn't want to do, and he's the one character that I loved that they were writing because he was so conflicted, right? He wants to help the team, but he doesn't like the direction they were going.
Yeah.
And now he's at the mercy of his brother, who basically just has him as a sleeper agent, right? So I'm hoping that it's a whole face-off with Charles.
It seems that way, but instead of giving us a payoff for that, it jumps to a Wolverine and Quentin Quire centric story.
Yeah. That's the Adamantium surfboard. Yeah, which I'm like, why do you want this?
It becomes a CW type thing because Phoebe dumps Quentin.
Okay, that's true.
Right, when her sisters influence and pressure to do it, since she's constantly choosing him over them, and they're weakening as a result.
And I have the quote from Wolverine to say, "Live a little longer, and you'll get numb to it all."
He's right. He's not wrong. Because Quentin's like just sulking, like I'm gonna go back and kill. What if I kill myself and they remove that part of my memory from? It's like, dude, shut up, man.
I mean, but like, remember when you were a teenager?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is the biggest. But I get. So I like that dynamic, and the fact that you say CW is hilarious because I saw that, but I definitely saw Point Break in this issue as well because it goes off the rails when they start throwing babies at everything.
Yeah. That's when he gets so he gets the adamantium surfboard from Forge.
Yeah. That can't be. That's not cheap. That's
no, it's ridiculous. And he goes surfing in this cove that's like it's called like what's like Dead Mutant Cove. Yeah, Dead Mutant's Cove because it's like the waves are like 50 to 100 feet and nobody can survive them. So of course Wolverine goes surfing, and while he's there, he gets saved by some other surfers who he assumes are mutants, but really they just want to steal babies.
Sure, because
and like he falls for like the girl. Like I was like, man, sometimes Wolverine a sucker for love like that.
But Wolverine has just become inherently dumb.
Yes.
Towards the back half of this, and I don't know if it's just because he's got comfortable.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Like he's just so not numb to his surroundings, but he enjoys his surroundings now that he's not on edge as much. Yeah, and he's constantly at the karaoke bar. Like he's constantly drinking with Blob and stuff. So
yeah.
You assume that he's not firing at all cylinders, and that leads to funnier and kind of interesting stories. But he's such a different version of the Logan that we're used to.
He's lost his edge.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
He's lost his edge, to be honest.
I mean,
and so when the babies go,
surfboard. So.
Yeah, but when the babies go missing, there's that one baby, Maximilian, who like has psychic powers.
Right.
And it turns out that the people on surfboards weren't actually mutants. They're just guild soldiers that have like these high adrenal glands. So they have to keep doing like crazy stuff. Otherwise they'd like go into like a shock. And they're also created by Peacock Tattoo Man and Xeno. So it's like, okay.
But that's where the baby story for me ties together, right? Like stealing babies for that guy. Like he wants more genetic material. Like,
yeah, exactly. And they got him the most powerful baby. It ends up going to him in the end, right? Yeah. So and it ends there.
You want to talk about Beast at all?
Oh, that's right. I've skipped over that. That's right.
Yeah, you did, and that's for me some of the highlights of it because Black Tom is hilarious.
So we were talking about the Russian nesting dolls, soldiers. Right. Beast ended up keeping one from like way earlier in the run when they attacked Krakoa. He kept one, and so he was dissecting it. And as he's dissecting it,
that's hilarious too.
The smaller version jumps out. He's like, "What?" And it goes into his ear. And he's like, he's stressing out, but he's like, all right, I need to, because Beast is one of the few mutants that I need a list of the mutants who haven't died yet.
Yeah.
And he's one of them. He's like terrified to die because he doesn't want to lose any part of him.
A great note that they made sure to like hammer home in the beginning of his run of like, I don't want to die. I don't know. So like, it's like him and like Nightcrawler are the only ones that are really worried about it.
Well, Nightcrawler, didn't he die?
He did die, but he doesn't like it, right?
He didn't want to, yeah.
There's a whole thing of like, I respect myself too much to fall for this kind of shit. And then to a level, Chuck was afraid of it because he didn't know who was going to back up Cerebro.
Yeah, but he's died like 3 times now.
Now, right? So it's weird how like there's a lulling for like, oh no, it's just normal. Like they've brainwashed everyone to think like this is normal, and that's one of the payoffs. I don't know if it's happening, but like this clone theory of like I don't think any of these guys should have died. Like I think they're all different versions of themselves coming back, but I don't know if they're ever going to address that the way I want them to. But I like the fact that Beast had a like devastating fear of dying because he does not know what version of himself is going to return. Yeah,
and then that's what that leads into what I was asking. Like, do we have a list of mutants who haven't died? It's got to be it's got to be like Beast, Sage, Sage died.
Mystique.
Oh no, she died on that space station, didn't she?
Oh yeah, she did.
Remember the Orca space station? That's where most of them died the first time.
Yeah, exploded.
Was that suicide mission?
I'm just going straight to the council and be like, what's his face? Who's the storyteller dude? It's not Sinister. Exodus. Exodus died? No.
I don't know. Good question. Gorgon did, and Exodus. I don't know if Exodus did because he hasn't really gotten his hands dirty.
See, he just storytells.
Yeah. Yeah, you're with the
I don't even
kids,
know
yeah.
if, to be honest, I don't even know if Sinister died. I think he just created clones of
He
himself.
does. He just creates clones, yeah. So he hasn't actually died either.
And then Apocalypse would be my last one.
I think he died. I believe he. I could be wrong though.
I don't think so.
Maybe not. I'll have to look it up. That's interesting. Even though we're like 4 years behind.
So maybe we'll get good answers.
But yeah, so the nesting doll soldier goes into Beast's ear. So then he calls Black Tom Cassidy to like basically magic school bus himself, and like
Heidi Black Talk Acid, that was so adorable and hilarious.
and his inside storm, and it was cool. It was fun. Like
Yeah.
he's inside Beast's body, and he's hunting this one guy down. And he kills it, and then it multiplies more into like these microscopic. It's like,
It's
oh,
like
goddamn.
it's like Fantasia.
Yeah, and then Beast ends up just puking them out
Yeah, that was great.
because he guides them to the stomach and he pukes them out. The craziest part was because his brain was like is all messed up. Like when they're in there, inside Beast, the one guy was like cutting arteries and stuff.
That's great.
So Beast starts thinking he's seeing the nest. He didn't actually see it, right? Like he was thinking he saw the nesting doll, and he pops out his own eye because he thought the nesting doll jumped into his eye. He's like, "There, that's better." And it's like, what?
Made him crazy. But are they just cheat coding to say that Beast was crazy because of the nesting doll?
No, I think I think it's done now. I think it was just kind of a moment. There's got to be a reason why he popped his eye out.
No, but Beast's motivation up to this point, like he's been doing like darker, seedier shit.
Yeah, no, but I don't. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't think
They're not
nesting
accrediting
doll-
this to like a nesting doll. Okay.
No, because that all happened way before it jumped into his body.
But
right?
that would have been an easy way to retcon all that shit because he couldn't do
Would've.
this from jump to be like, no, there's a dude in my head that was controlling.
Would have pissed me off though. I kind of like the evolution of Beast into like this pompous, like do anything type
bureaucrat. Yeah, he's just
Yeah,
like,
it does.
yo,
He'll kill anybody but
X-Force,
refuses
yeah.
to die himself. Yeah,
X-Force above all. And it's like, what does X-Force even mean anymore? It's like, it means this. Like we're
Yeah.
top. And he's like Black Ops, right? He's running like the scariest levels of the X-Men.
and like I like how other characters are starting to notice. It's like I think Sage is pretty.
Sage hates him. At this
Yeah,
point.
she's like, this guy's like scary. He knows way too much about everything.
And calls him out on it constantly too.
Yeah, and he's kind of just like me.
I think he may kill Sage at some point.
I
Indirectly.
think that's his biggest adversary.
Yeah, probably. I would say Charles, but
Charles trusts him though. Charles is kind of like,
so from HOX POX DOX days, we were both leaning on two original heroes that we saw darker versions of themselves start to unfold. Mine was Chuck, and yours was Beast. Yours is still paying dividends. Mine kind of happened, but didn't follow through in the fruition. But there still could be like a 11th hour, like, oh, Chuck fucked up everything, but probably not based on how they're writing it. Yours could still come through with like Beast has been the demon the whole time.
I think he's going to be like the biggest bad, or like one of the biggest bads in the end of it all. But
He's going in the pit. Would you think he's going to end up in the pit?
no, he's too smart to go in the pit.
I will say about X-Force, a lot went on, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, out of all these runs, it was the best. I think it was the strongest one. Because Excalibur's next, number 22, 26. And this one, I couldn't figure out why it was a chore to read. Like,
what did they do to my boy? They massacred my boy.
Yeah. This is actually the most streamlined one out of all the runs that we've read here, I think, except for I guess Phoenix.
I don't know if streamline's the right term.
But
I'll let you explain.
But it's one story though.
Yeah, but they introduce so many ancillary characters that have no connection to it.
Yeah.
Like what's the point of Strike?
Is it Maggie?
The of Strike I didn't like. Maggie
Strike
was okay.
that was weird. Yeah, the peak wisdom and Strike was like seemed like that was like a
James Jasper, but it makes sense to this.
Yeah.
James
works too. Yeah.
Makes sense in this world, right? Like this is the world of Jamie. So like
what the
off-color characters make sense. He pops up in the 11th hour. I was like, what
were
you doing?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's annoying. But like seeing Doom here, this should have been an entire run with Doom because Doom was such a great. How do we deal with this guy? For me, he was the next Apocalypse coming in here, where you can't trust him, but he has something that we need in order to get to where we're trying to go. But he was underutilized.
The back and forth between him and Betsy.
So good. Back and forth between him and Jasper was hilarious.
Yes, that's right. Him and Jubilee.
him and Gambit, like, is that why they call you Gambit? It's like, listen, man, I'm on me. Like, he didn't like anybody. Like, as soon as he got there, he was ready for war, and it was so good. Like,
Like,
just give me 6 issues of that.
like it's like, how are you getting through the gate? He's like, I have a mutant baby.
It's
Where
like, is
did
that
you
your?
get that?
You know, I can make mutants, right? Like, he started giving them the fifth degree about like how you can make babies very easily, right?
What if it's mine? What if it's? And he goes this whole rant. He's like, what if it's mine? He's like, it's not. By the way,
It was
but
great. I
yeah.
loved him. He for me, he offered the right amount of humor and the right amount of like terror because you never really know what the guy's up to. And he just brought a whole bunch of Doom bots in there. He's like, yo, I'm in now. Like, this is my spot. I was like, yes. And then he just gets pushed to the side. I was like, no, where's Doom? Where's Doom?
I like when they, because he wants, his whole thing is he wants to find Morgan Le Fay's castle because I guess they have history. I like when they get to like
And he
where the
only
castle
shows up because she got kicked out. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
I can go there now. I love it.
So they go to that area where it's supposed to be, and it's all that fog, and the assassin jumps out, and he's like, "You guys got this." He lets them like fight with the assassin. He just goes to the castle. He's like, "Where's the castle?" It's like, dude, where'd you go? I was like, "I'm looking for the castle. Where is it?"
Yeah, exactly. You telling me you can stretch Doom for 5 issues?
Yeah, it would have been awesome.
Especially if he ended up on the opposition. He's like, you know what? I like King Arthur.
Yeah.
Roll these guys. Like, But no, he gets shoved to the side immediately. For me, the Agents of Strike doesn't make any sense, but it comes back around in the end.
Yeah, it's weird. Because I don't have any familiarity with them. That's the thing.
But for me, this is a run of a trial of Captain Britain's and the unearned potential of a storyline that didn't happen.
Okay, let's get to the main storyline because the Doom is a side storyline that kind of connects to the main one. The main one is Merlin more or less declares war on the Citadel with the pushing out of Witchbreed as the reason why. Like the whole Avalon or Otherworld is like, we hate mutants. Witchbreed, get them the hell out of here. And then back in the real world, quote unquote, the UK has now, after the Hellfire Gala stuff, when all the drama that went down there with Emma Frost brainwashing the world and Beast's Terra Verde stuff going sideways, they're like, all right, mutants aren't allowed in the UK anymore. So that's when Pete Wisdom, he said, he gets all sad, and then he brings back the strike team from being revived. But yeah, in Otherworld, Merlin goes against the Citadel, brings back King Arthur that he had caged up.
Yeah.
This whole time, and because I guess King Arthur's like the rightful king or whatever, but Saturnine has the Citadel right now.
I get it, but it's why. Like, this is a storyline that should have happened midway, as opposed to in the final issues of Excalibur.
But yeah, there's a trial that's supposed to happen between. This is what just to get to the part that we actually want. It was the trial of the fake Captains Britain, which is Richter, Rogue, and Gambit, when they were all
they took up the mantle in different.
It was a different version of them.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, you guys aren't supposed to exist.
So you're on trial because this is.
So you're on trial. And that trial lasts.
Not even.
2 frames.
Not even an hour.
Yeah.
It's like Merlin's on top, like, hey, you guys! Like, all right, we gotta fight.
You gotta fight Merlin, and he's got King Arthur, and he's got anti-magic. That's like, what?
And I think the whole point of that was just so they could do the rakes of the two teams. So like it actually looked like a chessboard because they had a king, they had a knight, they had rooks, and they wanted the two panels to show this is Captain Britain's team and this is King Arthur's team. And it looks great, but why did you have to hoodwink me into a trial that you were never going to have? Because the defense had the whole, like, they started off too, right? They're like, the defense was like, these guys are refugees, right? It was Betsy being like, no, like, ready to like make a whole claim. And I was really, for whatever reason, I was really into what this trial could have been, what this storyline could have like revealed or showed or turned the characters to, right? Because it could have been like guilty for all these three, and then they have to suffer the consequences of that.
And they're expendable characters, so it could have gone either way. That's what made it interesting, I think, too.
But immediately they're like, nope, come aside, we going to war. And cool, but like then the war wasn't even good, and there were so many intercuts between the war that it wasn't even a linear fight. Like we had to stop to go get exposition from other characters, and like strike team came back to like go talk shit. Was it Agents of Strike? So, everything leading up was kind of interesting and sort of fun and a little quirky, which is a lot of what Excalibur is. But the final payoffs, which were supposed to be the battle, the war, and I guess the final sacrifice of Betsy or championing of Betsy, was just a whimper and a fart that like I feel cheated for Excalibur. I feel the worst about this title
Yeah.
because for me you really had an idea of what you wanted to do. You just didn't know how to execute it at all.
Yep. I agree.
You had so many characters on the map and so many powerful players to do so many different things. Again, that we were laughing at, like Jamie pops up to be on the team at the end and does nothing.
Nothing. And then they shelve him by like, "Oh, you can't use your thing right now, your power anyways, because reality's already fractured. So if you do it," so they just kind of like took him out of the. He's useless. It's like it's Jamie Braddock. Like he can. Are you kidding me? He can just end the fight.
We need more time for this Richter. What's his name? Love story.
Oh my God, they're all over each other every freaking page.
What's his name?
Shatterstar.
Shatterstar.
They're all over each other every time. They can't keep their hands off each other.
It was such a misdirection. Like I can't fathom you knowing, because Excalibur was always a title that knew what it wanted to be and kept itself separate from Krakoa, and spent time throwing all these characters and magic into this world to be like, we're building to something big. That's why like some of the best Apocalypse stuff is with this Outer World stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like Richter got to rise to prominence. Jubilee got to rise to prominence. Rogue got to rise to prominence. Gambit got to do some cool shit. So you have all these characters finally on the map, and then finally, I guess if you're making Merlin your biggest foe in this entire run, which doesn't really add up, but I get it because Magic's got a magic. The war like doesn't equal the setup at all.
It's barely a war because it's just Arthur's and Merlin's forces advancing, and then the quote unquote good guys just retreating. They'll fight them a bit and then retreat, and then hold up and then retreat, and then fight them a bit and then retreat. It's like
the one panel of all the like magic people just screaming and everything going green. I was like, oh, so like
that's when they blew up the gates. Yeah.
Did I even have to like get out of bed for this war?
Yeah. There was a cool part where they connect this run to Hickman's New Avengers and Avengers run from like 2015, I think. And that's with Saturnine, how she's able to jump through all the different dimensions. Because in that run, these things called the map makers, which work for the builders, which are basically the things that are causing incursions, they show up and they wipe out the Captain Britain Corps. They just wipe them all out. And Saturnine, I guess, from there ends up dimension hopping with one of the map makers, but because they're going so fast and because the map maker's doesn't have a conscience as much as like Saturnine does, it falls apart, and she's able to use part of it, the part that's left, as like a power, and that's how she's able to like jump through all these dimensions and realities, and how she was able to move Merlin out of the Citadel so she could take over, and that's why Merlin's so pissed off.
Sure.
Because she basically like cheat coded. She's like, I'll get rid of you. I'll just take over here, and then when you guys come back, you're gonna have these great. And she had nothing for him, so that's why he's so mad, right? That was an interesting tie-in, but it was very complicated, especially if you've never read that that run. It was like, what is she talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, I found a map maker, and then we went through his dimensions, and I left it in Blightstone, and it's like, what? So that was weird. Blightspoke, sorry. With a Viscora R, and they'll find it. You remember the Viscora from X of Swords, where they were like this parasite thing that they used to. It was weird. Anyways, so Merlin and Arthur's army pushed them so far back, which is Excalibur and their forces. They lost the Citadel, lost Avalon, lost Camelot, and in a joint effort, Merlin, Morgan, and Reuben destroyed all the gates at once to lock the mutants out of Otherworld, except for Betsy, who knew they were going to do this, so she kept her sword like partway through the gate, and then she goes back into Otherworld by herself. Well, with the Britain Corps, right? But all of the other mutants are stuck in Krakoa because there's no more gate. to other world, and it's over.
I feel cheated.
I didn't enjoy this. Like,
And there's so many things I like about this book. Like I remember like just reading about certain characters and the look of it and the fact that they incorporate magic and the craziness of it, like the whole Chobo thing, right? Like just a baby in the normal world
Shogo, yeah.
and a dragon over here, right? This to end this way sucks.
Yeah, I was like,
It just sucked.
I'm reading this. I'm like, why is this such a chore to read? It's like, oh, because it's all over the place and it's too much, and it's not interesting.
And you didn't enjoy the things that you did bring in that were fun. Like putting Doom through all of this would have been insanely better, personally. Yeah. Rank them.
Oh shoot.
Just
Okay,
give me your
let's
top
see.
3 because there wasn't a lot going on here.
X-Force, Sword, and Wolverine.
X-Force, Wolverine. I don't want to give it to Sword. What else do we? Marauders,
because you had fun.
I laughed at things. It was a terrible book, but I laughed at things.
Yeah, there were highlights. Like
again, Marauders. Excalibur has highlights, but it's only the front half, right? With all the Doom stuff and like the trade off.
The Doom issue was excellent.
Before she gets real, I was like, okay, you guys have something here, and then no. The real question is, did you think Trial of X Part 2 was better than number 1?
No.
Yeah, which is
no,
weird.
I don't. I
agree.
Which you said, well, Part 1 had Hellions and Way of X, which I genuinely enjoyed.
Cropped up.
Yeah.
And carried the load. That's the all-pro running back that took it to the house. Those are cute quarterback sneaks.
Yeah. Those I actually enjoyed front to back. So
these had better story arcs in terms of at least I get to read an entire run of something.
Yeah.
But some of them didn't even seem like they had writers.
Yeah. It didn't come together the way it was supposed to.
And Echo, which
was horrible. We shouldn't be in here. We shouldn't have read this. We should have read something else.
But it'd be hilarious. Echo shows up in Inferno because then at least we've done the back work for it. But that's me assuming that there's payoff to things, and I have to stop assuming that this Krakoa one has payoffs. Yeah. If we get payoffs, it's amazing. If we don't, just be happy that I got to read it and enjoyed it in the time.
Yeah.
Other than that,
we ain't no babies in here. Nobody cares.